Welcome to the podcast, Vaginas and Vertebrae, where two doctors talk all about down there topics that seem to be overlooked. Whether it be mindset, body image, self-love, or medical questions, we dive deep into all aspects of being female. Dr. Madalyn is a chiropractor who is on a mission to inspire women to reconnect to their bodies and reclaim their power. Dr. Kaylee is a pelvic floor physical therapist, spreading the truth that your vagina is magical, and as a woman, you deserve to rid of all the shame, guilt, and fear, limiting you from stepping into your boss bitch self. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
What is up, everybody? Dr. Kaylee here.
Dr. Madalyn.
And we are here today talking about insurance versus cash pay, concierge, and we're going to start to define some of those things because we often find that that's one of the top questions that we get. And I don't know about you, Dr. Madalyn, but my practice, the number one question is always, do you take my insurance?
It's almost the first question I get. Like anytime I answer the phone or respond to a message or something like that. So we're giving you I think it's just a different perspective to look at.
Yeah.
When you're looking for a provider.
Yeah, and I think that it's important because Madalyn had shared with me this week a post that she had seen somewhere on the interweb. I've been using the word interweb because it makes me sound a little older than I am, and I think it's kind of a comical thing because you say interweb and people look at you funny.
I know.
I kind of find it interesting. Anyways, and so she sent me this post, and someone was actually trying to transition from the insurance plan that they have now to go into a different insurance plan that would cover services. I think it was chiropractic, correct?
It was dentistry.
Oh,
it was
dentistry.
Holistic dentistry, yeah.
Yeah, so we just wanted to touch a little bit on a couple of things to be mindful of with insurance. I have worked in insurance. I graduated from PT school and I worked in an insurance-based clinic for 2 years. Before that, I was a insurance administrator before PT school for about 5 years. So I know a lot about like the ins and outs of insurance. And the unfortunate thing is they don't tell you everything. Nope. And you have no idea really what the coverage is. And that's the unfortunate part. So I always try to educate clients, or I give you the information on, and first and foremost, please understand we are not bashing insurance companies by any means. We're just giving you a different perspective. As Madalyn rolls her eyes, we're just giving you a different perspective on why we chose to run the practice the way that we have, and then some little things to just consider when you are looking for a provider and trying to decide if you want to use insurance or not. And one of the things that you want to look at is the deductible, of course. Like a lot of times the insurances have a super high deductible. And if you go and see a cash pay clinician, you can actually reach that deductible a lot quicker if you think about it like in a greater scheme of things. So what I mean by that is, for example, if you look and you say, and your in-network deductible is, I don't know, what are they usually, like $2,000 right now or something like that?
I think they're higher.
I know out-of-network is a lot of times more average towards 10 and 12.
Yeah.
But if you reach a $2,000 deductible, you have to pay $2,000 with that service that you're going to before you get your benefits.
Yes.
Meaning if you have an 80-20, 80% covered, 20% you have to pay. That doesn't actually kick in until you reach your deductible.
Right.
So you have to pay that provider $2,000, and then you're still having to pay 20% after that. Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, it's not necessarily saving you money to use your insurance. I don't know if you have anything else to say about that specifically and like that breakdown.
Not too much, other than I think there's just a lot of hidden information in there when people get their plans. So
yeah,
like I think a lot of people don't understand like what their deductible is, like, and that there's an in-network deductible, there's an out-of-network deductible, how to know if your provider's in or out-of-network, which one you're reaching, and if you are responsible up to that point before your benefits do actually kick in, which I find a lot of people don't understand or know.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a lot of those hidden fees. I always tell clients before you even try to like get your insurance authorized, call and ask them first. Or if you are going to an insurance-based clinic, there should be a manager that can explain it to you.
Yeah. Because
what you don't want is to say, I pay $300 a month for insurance. And then you're like, oh, why do I have to pay you $120?
Right.
Or every single time you have a copay, you have to pay $77, which was a really common thread that I saw in the insurance-based clinic where people were surprised that they had to pay $75 every single time they came in.
Sure.
And that's just the insurance plan you bought. So if you are going to be with an insurance program or an insurance plan, it's really important that you pay attention to what you're actually buying.
And fully understand it. And that means one thing I did learn recently, I had went to a networking thing, and a woman was talking about insurance plans, and like she can help you sign up for them. And I would never understood like why, because I know you can go online and do that too, because she understands the benefits you're signing up for. So she'd be able to talk to you specifically about your case, what you're signing up for, what's probably the best action. And then when you have a question, you can directly call her and she can take care of that question for you.
Yes.
And I was just like, well, damn, I wish I had known that at some point, or I would tell people that who are getting insurance, because again, a lot of times people think they understand what they're buying.
Yep.
And then you come in and then you get rightfully so upset, because I understand that you think you have something else.
Yep.
Like for instance, a lot of times in the chiropractic world, we'll get people and they're like, well, no, I pay for like 20 chiropractic adjustments in a year. That's what my insurance says.
Yes.
But they don't understand that, no, I understand that, but what you really get is you get 20 total out of the year, but it's based off of episode or something coming in. So if you come in with low back pain, they actually hire a third party that says, based on the research, it should take you 3 to 4 visits to get out of low back pain with chiropractic. So that's all that's covered. And you don't, after those visits, you don't get that unless you have a new injury or new exacerbation or something like that. So it's such a game, and it's very a lot of gray area, I guess.
Yeah. And it's just really important that you really understand what you're buying and what you're purchasing. For instance, I'll share with you, I have an insurance plan with my husband on it right now, and we pay like $250 a month, and we have it for catastrophic reasons in case we're in a car accident or in case I get hit by a car, because that happens a lot in Florida, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Or different things like, if something happens to me health-wise, I need to make sure that I have something in case of that. But our deductible is still $5,000, meaning I have to pay $5,000 if I have an issue or if something like that happens, or if I have to go into the hospital, then I still have to pay $45 every time I go to the doctor.
Sure.
So it's just really important that you know what you're purchasing, and I knew that going in, and again, I'm only going to use it for catastrophic reasons, but if I were to go into a plan, I would pay attention to in-network benefits. If you know that you're going to be utilizing services like, I don't even know if chiropractic goes through insurance ever anymore. Are they covered?
It does. It depends on your plan. It depends on your plan, and then it depends on the chiropractor you use.
Yep.
I don't know the split, because I'm just used to like my world, and I don't do insurance, we're cash. And a lot of chiropractors I know in this area are cash. They don't do insurance, but there's definitely ones out there who do insurance.
Okay.
So it just depends.
Yeah, and if you know that you're wanting to use, like chiropractic for maintenance, and then you're also thinking about utilizing physical therapy for a shoulder repair that you're going to have or something like that, you want to make sure that you're looking at what those things are broken down and how much you're going to be paying. The unfortunate part, and I can only speak for physical therapy, is that we are continuing to have worse and worse, insurance plans to cover our services as PTs, and I personally believe that's just because these insurance companies don't understand the benefit that we can offer. Because what you need to understand too is, even though it's frustrating, we pay this money every month for our insurance company, and then we don't understand why it's not covered. The people that are working for the insurance company are not physical therapists or chiropractors or nurses or doctors. Most of the time they're just layman people that are just there to do their job. So it's important to know that you're not really we're not sending information to someone that understands what we're trying to say anyways. So in physical therapy, it's always really important to know, it'll say something like 32 visits a year are covered, but is that with one episode of care? Does that restart if you have to come back 3 times? What does that mean? And what's your deductible before you get those 32 covered? And also understanding, your co-insurance, what is the percentage that you're paying out of pocket? What about the copay? Because I've seen a lot of times where there'll be 32 visits covered in a year and your copay is still $25.
Right.
So if you do the math on that, you're not saving a whole lot of money, right? But if you got to think about the greater scheme of things there. And then I think it's really important just to understand, and again, I'm not bashing insurance companies. I love that there's clinics around here that do that, because I do understand 100% that we pay for insurance. We should be able to utilize it. The unfortunate part is different types of entities like physical therapy and chiropractic are not always respected in the insurance world, and they're not always covered in the insurance world.
Right.
So what I'm seeing in my realm is physical therapy reimbursement, and what that means is what we get paid from the insurance company keeps going down. So that's always that's never a good thing if you think about it. You don't want to see a physical therapist who's having to see I don't know, 20 plus clients a day because they're only making $20 a visit or $20 a unit because they have to see that many to pay their bills. And in a greater scheme of things, unfortunately, that's getting worse. And so now we have new Medicare cuts, and like insurance is not paying the physical therapist to give you the quality care, which is a big reason why I moved out and did my own like concierge cash-based realm of things, because it's just, we're not getting paid for it, and they're also dictating how much treatment you get. So what happens is you do the evaluation, you send the evaluation in, and you send billing in with insurance companies, and they either accept or deny. With pelvic floor PT, with me, for instance, I would get a few denials, mainly because I would use a diagnosis code that they didn't, and I'm not, again, bashing anybody, but they didn't comprehend, they didn't understand what it meant.
Sure.
And so they would deny it, and I would have to change that. But they would send back and say, yes, you get 3 to 6 visits covered. And if I have a client who is competing in 12 months, 6 visits is not going to get me, allow me to get you there. Or if you have pain of any sort, 6 visits, 12, like that's nothing. And I can't tell you how many times I've been cut off at 3 visits. And what that means is you can only see me 3 times before they will not cover that service anymore. And the time frame is dictated because the clinic that I work for, the people that I worked for, we weren't able to really like bring in the amount of money that we needed every day unless I saw a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so it's really kind of hard to speak positively, I guess, about like in the insurance world, because I have worked both of them. But again, I've seen a lot of really successful practices do it. I just don't understand to the level of like how they made that happen.
So this is just my 2 cents and what I've seen. I'm not saying this is every case or every clinic or anything like that. But like most of the time, if I, let's just say, talk to patients or other people and like they tell me they have a chiropractor and they're like, oh, I'm not really sure, and they tell me like the services that are being done on them, I can tell you if it's a cash-based practice or if it's an insurance-based practice.
Because of the units.
Because of like the different things they're doing in there, because they are charging for other things because they can, and again, I don't do insurance, so I don't know the actual rate, but I think it's either they get pretty much the same or they might get more for everything outside of the adjustment. So then they're
like heating packs.
Like heating packs, e-stem, ultrasound. Not that there's not a time and place for therapeutic like uses for those things, but I'm just like, oh, yeah, so more than likely. But I've also heard people from those practices that aren't necessarily even getting adjusted.
Yeah.
You know, so how I look at insurance, and I completely understand like paying, that you're paying so much a month for it, so you want access to it and you want it to cover certain things.
Yeah.
Insurance just doesn't pay for like wellness type of care.
Correct.
It just doesn't pay for alternative things. It doesn't pay really well for wellness care as much as you want it to. That's just not how it's set up.
Yeah.
So by all means, if you have a lot of different diagnoses and health issues and you're on different medications, then yeah, like you're going to need it. It's going to help you with your doctor's appointment. It's going to help cover the cost of your expenses, your medical expenses. But if you're on the like healthy side, or you're choosing to approach your health with alternative things like chiropractic, physical therapy, acupuncture, it just doesn't pay for those things like it would if you had all these medications and illnesses, unfortunately. I don't know if that's unfortunate or not. So, and then one reason we don't take it is like Dr. Kaylee's saying, is they get to dictate your care in the office. They don't know you. They've never met you.
Never talked to you.
They've
most
never
of the time.
talked to you, and they get to dictate your care, which isn't fair to you.
And they don't understand your diagnosis. I'll throw that into you. Unless you are a very active client who is advocating for your own health, which is unfortunate that most of us don't do that. But unless you're active and you're calling them and you're talking to a real human, not an automated voice message machine, but if you're talking to a real human, telling them your diagnosis, what the plan of care looks like, and what's going to go on, I can almost guarantee they don't understand, or they don't care. And I know that sounds terrible, but they're making billions of dollars. And they're making billions of dollars to not know their people.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part. So a big reason why I stepped into the cash world, and I'll just be 100% transparent with you, one was because I quit my corporate job and I needed to figure out how to make money, and it takes a really long time to get approved with insurance. Florida is one of the worst for reimbursements. It's very, very hard to get reimbursements and like negotiate with insurance companies to actually get paid. And they just do not give the care that I need for the client. So I started to do cash based, and I charge a premium value because my clients commit to their plan of care, and they come in and they get better They get better because I'm dictating, you need 6 visits, you need 8 visits, you need 12 visits, you need 20 visits, and I need to give you an hour and a half every single time. I'm going to meet you in the gym. I'm going to meet you here. We're going to do a training session here, and I'm going to use this modality or that modality, but the price doesn't change for you, and nobody's telling me how to treat you. And I went to school for 9 years, technically. Wait, that was probably like less than that. I don't even know.
Less? I don't know.
How long did I go to school? I went to an accelerated program, so I think I was done in like 3 years. But
okay,
anyways, so I think it was like 7 years. 7 years. I went to school for 7 years.
Either way, lots of schooling.
To get a doctorate degree, to know exactly how to treat you and your dysfunction. And then not to mention that 7 years plus all the years and the amount of money I spent to learn women's health and pelvic floor.
Right.
Now I am the expert in it, and then I have people that have never been in the field of physical therapy at all telling me that, like, nobody's telling me that now. Nobody's telling me how to dictate my care. Nobody's telling me that they're only going to pay me $5. Nobody's telling me that, that's probably an exaggeration, but maybe not. Nobody's telling me that I can only see you 2 times. Like, I'm able to do exactly what you need. And the best part about that for me, specifically coming from insurance to non-insurance, is the goal does not have to be souped up to make the insurance pay for it. The goal is actually your goal. Yeah. So if you have a goal, I want to compete in CrossFit, that would get denied by an insurance company.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand why that's important to you. Right. Whereas for me, I get that. I understand why you want that. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to get you there. And so it's really like a freeing thing to see clients understand the difference between the two. And the majority of my clients, unfortunately, have to pay for insurance monthly because they have kids and things, but they still choose to come to me because of the level of care. And so it's just really important to understand the differences. And I always recommend too, if you're looking for, when people call me and they ask me, do I take your insurance? I always say, I have to give credit to Aaron LeBauer for this, but he's a cash-based PT. He always says, you know, I choose to treat my patients, not the insurance company, because I don't have to answer to them anymore. I'm treating you. You are my client. I am working for you. I'm not working for the insurance company. And I always tell them that and explain to them a little bit about that. But I don't mind to go through like an explanation of benefits with someone either to make them understand, because the majority of the time we really just don't understand our insurance. We don't know what it covers. We don't get what any of those words mean. And many of you listening are probably just like, yeah, you're right. I don't even know what I pay for.
Right. And you probably don't. I think that's just, you know, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. It's your money going out to something. It's something that's supposed to be protecting you on some level. So understanding it, because it is a little bit of a game. If you're going to go to a provider that uses it and you're going to have it, you have to understand, you kind of got to, I don't know what we want to call it, like the insurance, like shuffle or something. Like you have to figure out like how to play the game a little bit, and they're playing the game too, and their game is to spend as little money as possible on you and getting you your results, or in little time to do it as fast as possible so they don't have to spend as much. And I also would recommend too, like being sure that you're talking to your provider about your concerns, because, you know, if you want to use your insurance, that's wonderful. I always make referrals to that, but you want to make sure you're interviewing them too, because if you're going in to see a clinician, I'll use chiropractic, for example, and then I'll use physical therapy. If you're going in to see someone and they are doing an adjustment every 3 minutes, you're not going to get any words in, because that's what they have to do to make any money. And that's unfortunate, but I hear that happens a lot. And then in physical therapy, if you go in, let's say at noon, and there's 4 other clients at noon, that's not unheard of with like insurance-based things, right? So like, you've just got to be aware of what you're getting into and what kind of care you want and desire. And with pelvic floor, I was having to see clients every 30 to 45 minutes, and I don't get the time to even get through your history in that time anymore. Like I used to get so stressed out. I was always in trouble because I was always late. So, and then that burns your clinician out. And then your clinician, me being fatigued and not really wanting to do what I was doing at that time, I would come in the next day and then I would be in a bad mood because I was just like being treated like crap, technically, in a sense of like not being valued at all, because the insurance companies didn't believe in what I did and I was working for them. And so now it's nice because it's different, because I do like, I totally, and I know Dr. Madalyn and Dr. Johanna do the same. We take your values and your goals into, you know, that's like the only thing that we focus on. And it's just really important that you understand you personally, what is it that you want your care to look like? Do you feel that you're okay with seeing someone going in, getting the adjustment, and then leaving and having no conversation? If so, that's fine. I'm not saying that there's not great providers out there that do that. Some people love it. That's great.
And then physical therapy. Are you okay with getting a little bit of manual therapy here, being on a bike, doing all these things, getting e-stim and heat at the end, and then like not really having the connection with your therapist too? And if so, that's awesome. There's great clinics out there.
Sure.
And again, some of them do things a lot differently, and I haven't really figured it out yet, but some of them are great. But it's just really important to really dictate your own care. And I'm a big fan, it's obviously in my business name, but like advocate for yourself. Understand what you're paying for, look at your benefits, call about it, ask someone who knows about it, tell them, okay, well, I don't understand why I need to pay that if I'm paying for this every month.
Right.
They will explain it to you, and then you will be able to make that decision.
Right.
It's just really important that you know exactly what you need to know going into that choice, because you do have a choice. You can choose what plan of care you want to go with, cash-based or insurance-based.
Yeah, and again, it's still like insurance is even still a service you are paying for. So I think a lot of times we forget that we still, like, we are giving them money for a service, so we still have like empowering decisions within that. 'Cause I was watching something the other day, and it was talking about more insurance covering like mental health issues and like cover and like care for that. And they were saying almost every time something was submitted, insurance was denying it. But if that person had known that you can go back and resubmit or appeal it, on that appeal, they were accepting it, because people don't know that they can go in and do that. So they think that's huge to know that you're still paying them money for something. They're going to try to make all the decisions for you, but you can still go in and ask questions and appeal and those type of things. And that puts you in a completely different spot, taking empowerment over that and asking questions and stuff than if you choose not to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, like she just said, you have to be empowered to take the step to understand it. Also appeal it if you don't agree with it or if you don't understand it.
Yeah.
You've just got to be able to take those steps forward. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we bashed it.
I don't think so.
Bad.
I think it's just a different way of looking at it, because I completely, again, like it does, I feel for the people who come in and they're in the practice and they're just like, but I pay and if they're families, they're paying probably over $500 a month for essentially any more catastrophic insurance, which isn't really covering anything. Their deductible is so high. And they want to use these benefits they were told they have, which again, you got to reach that deductible before you can even touch the benefits part of it. And so to them, I understand then asking them to pay whatever a month outside of that they could submit seems such a burden to them.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I know there's the financial side, but like to me, more than anything, it's that I care about the patient more than what the insurance company tells me I should be able to do with them. And like long term, more than just getting you out of pain, I can get you out of pain really fast. That does not mean your problem's fixed. We've talked about that several times in this podcast. It takes way more time to fix the problem and give you that longevity with not coming back than what it does to get you out of pain. So it's about serving the patient for me in our practice. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I'll also bring up, I get asked a lot, is there any way that you can get reimbursement? A lot of cash-based or concierge clinics, and I'll explain the difference between those two things in a second. A lot of cash-based clinics will help you submit a super bill.
Right.
But the thing with that, since I'm not in network with any insurance companies, what happens is I fill out your diagnosis code and I write about what we did and I attach it to the initial evaluation. And what happens is you have to send that to your insurance company because I'm not in network. So they won't be able to find me in their network because I'm not an in-network provider. And so if it's an out-of-network provider, we can submit the super bills. And let's say you have, just recently I had a client who had I don't know, I think it was $1,500 out-of-network deductible, which is really low, by the way.
That is low.
Buy that if you find it. Because she had a $1,500 out-of-network deductible. She paid me up for the $1,500 to meet the deductible, and now they're paying her 100% because her coinsurance pays 100% after meeting the deductible. But that was because I sent in the super bill because we talked about what that meant. A super bill is just a request for reimbursement, saying what I'm charging, what you're paying, and then the insurance company makes a decision on whether or not they will pay you back for that.
Right.
So it's definitely something to ask too if you're looking for a cash-based provider, and if you're one of those that are already paying $500 to $600 a month on insurance, it may help you to kind of talk to your provider about that possibility. I lost my, cash-based versus concierge. People ask me that all the time because both of them are out there in like the world. And by the way, I don't have any rights to trademarks or any definitions by any means. I just want to make that clear. Cash-based physical therapy, and I can only speak on physical therapy because that's what I do, is just where it's a fee for service. So you just pay cash, credit card, check, whatever that is, but it's a fee for service. It does not, I don't bill through anybody else. You just give me the money and I treat you. Whereas concierge is the same exact thing, but that means that I am willing to call your insurance company for you. I'm willing to do those little things for you that you have questions about, send you your home exercise programs, following up with you, doing all those little things. Because it's the same that a concierge would mean anywhere else in like a hotel. We take care of you.
Sure.
So I'm a concierge practice because of that, because I do a lot of mobile things. I will send out the super bills. I will call the insurance company for you. If you don't understand it, I explain it to you. Whereas cash-based doesn't usually deal with any of that. They do the super bill and they'll send it to you and you do your thing. But that's just based on my own experience on the differences between the two. I don't know if that's different in chiropractic or not.
Well, I think concierge and chiropractic is like really new.
Okay.
And because I mean, we will give you at our practice, we will give you the super bill and that you can submit on your own. But in terms of like other things, like we'll still give you like exercise. Like we go, I would say above and beyond what other cash quote unquote practices do. But,
Okay. Yeah, so it's definitely something, again, to just kind of like look into concierge versus cash-based versus mobile. You have so many options, and the majority of those are going to be not insurance-based, the majority.
Yeah, I think one last thing to hit on, too, I don't know if, I think you take it as well, but HSAs or and FSAs?
Health savings accounts.
They're great.
They work well.
They're great.
Yep. So you save up a certain amount, or they give you a certain amount up front, and you can use that for your out-of-network benefits. So let's say another client came in this past week, and she came in and she was like, hey, I have $2,000 in my HSA and I'm giving birth next year and it all rolls over anyways. Can I just use that to get a plan of care? And I was like, absolutely. Like, that's wonderful. And that goes through your health savings account. You didn't have to do anything because you're already paying for it. So you're paying your monthly premium, your monthly fee, and you've already paid to have that health savings account. So that's a really great point that you bring up. So also ask your insurance, or possibly find one that has that option, because
or an employer if you're looking through your employment.
Yep. So that's definitely something that you'll want to look for when you're trying to find a different insurance plan, if you're trying to find one. But yeah, I think that that's all I have on like insurance versus the dark world. I call dark world. That's what I'm going to call it.
I think just understand you can ask questions.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're paying your insurance company, you're paying your provider, you get to make the choices. So go out there and ask the questions and find what works best for you.
And it always needs to be revolved around you, and everything needs to be around your plan of care, not the clinician and not the insurance company. So just make sure that you're finding someone that is a right fit. We talked about recently how to find like the chiropractor, how to find the right PT. You just want to make sure that you're dictating all of these things and putting them all in one, because it's such an important plan of care to find. So be really cautious about that. But if you have questions, absolutely ask. You can ask the clinics you're going to. You can reach out to us and ask us. You know that we're always everywhere to be found. So
you can find us in all the places.
You really can. Eventually I'll get my life together and put us on YouTube too, but I've just been a mess. Yeah, I've been a mess. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in for our episode on insurance versus non-insurance. And we are excited to see you next time.
Yeah, bye.